What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. We're live breaking down game number 71 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Florida Panthers here tonight 7-2, moving to 43-19-9 on the season. A good bounce back win here tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they continue this road trip, go into Florida here and take a commanding win over the Panthers. You see it just roll through them right there, getting a 7-2 victory as they had just lost 7-2 to the New York Islanders the other day. So great bounce back for the Leafs here tonight. A great victory for them, or 6-2, excuse me, not 7-2, 6-2 for the Leafs here tonight over the Panthers. 6-2, not 7-2. Want to clarify, 6-2. Had 7-2 on my mind after the last game. It was a good bounce back after losing 7-2 to the New York Islanders. So great win here for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. You look at all the metrics and everything leads to where the Leafs deserve to win this one. Look at the deserve to win a meter on this game, 64.6% for the Leafs. Expected goals was higher than Florida's here, and just the way that they played, even from strictly just an eye test here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, this was a very, very good game for them in the bounce back spot on the road. Murray in net. So great stuff from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as we get into this one, we'll go through everything that's being said in the chat right now. And looking at here, super chat from Maxentius Decimus. Maxentius, thank you for that super chat. Greatly appreciated. He says, why was Matthews killing a penalty up for with 3 minutes left? Well, first and foremost, it wasn't necessarily a penalty kill. It's a late game closing situation where you're trying to end that one out. You have an opportunity to get the guy the hat trick. He hasn't got one all season. You're looking out there, get him some extra confidence. He's been playing really well lately. I don't really have a problem with throwing him into that mix, getting him out there on the ice. You know, Marner's going to be feeding him. They're going to try to do everything they can to give him that opportunity, especially as he chases 40 on the season. Like, you look at that, was 33 and 34 on the season for him for goals scored, pushing to get to 40 this year. You know, that's something that's at least in his mind is something he would like to do for a personal accomplishment, is have yet another year with 40 goals. So I don't really mind it, and he takes the puck to the nuts. That's what ends up happening there, but I'm not overly concerned with it. So yeah, I think that it's all right to have him out there. I'm seeing a lot of Canisius, Minnesota talk right now, so that'll be something we'll continue to monitor. If people are watching this one, if you want to continue to send updates in the chat, that'll be appreciated. There is no fan or no bigger Canisius fans tonight than Toronto Maple Leafs fans, waiting to see what ends up happening with Matthew Nyes, and if he can continue to, or if he can join the Toronto Maple Leafs if Canisius does upset Minnesota here tonight. So that'll be something that we keep an eye on as Leafs fans continue to be scoreboard watching, because if they lose, he could be joining the Toronto Maple Leafs by Saturday night. So shout out to Canisius. I mean, don't really want to see Nyes lose in terms of, you want to get him opportunities to play in big games, but the sooner that he can join this Leafs team, the better it is for them to be able to start to figure out lines and what the final solution will be, and get Nyes more accustomed to the NHL game. So yeah, that'll be something that's continued to be watched. I do also want to remind people, if you do want to call into the show here tonight, you can give me your thoughts, give your feelings, opinions on everything that's gone down. I'll send the link to join the Leafs Digest Discord right now. You click that link, should be able to get in. Let me know your thoughts. If the one link doesn't work, try the other one, but you should be able to join the group. You can send me a message on there in that Discord chat in the channel, and I'll send you a private message with the link to call in. Happy to take calls here tonight and learn what people are thinking outside of just myself in terms of how things are going, how you guys are feeling after this win, and what your thoughts are on the Leafs moving forward, especially with this Nyes game underway. He could potentially be joining the team this weekend if everything goes properly for Leafs fans. It goes the way they'd like to see, but yeah. Craig Harrison said, I was pissed they counted that first Panthers goal. That would have been save of the year for Murray. Yes, it would have been, but in my opinion, it was a clear goal. The first angle that they continued to show on the broadcast was not. It kept looking like, I don't know how they could possibly call this a goal. But then once they went to the over the net cam and you could clearly see the puck in the end of his mesh crossing the line there, that was like, yeah, this makes sense. So you're gonna look at it and be like, yep. I understand how and why this was a good goal for the Florida Panthers for Matthew Tkatchuk, but yeah, ultimately that's what ends up happening, and it would have been save of the year candidate 100%. But good game for him. Few things we noticed: the Leafs go back to 11-7 here tonight, obviously, and with the 7D rotation, you see Luke Schenn basically ends up with very minimal minutes in this one. He plays 11-22, but he did in fact play more minutes than Timothy Liljegren tonight. A few things on that I want to touch on before I even get to Gustafsson and that whole thing, or touching on Morgan Rielly not playing tonight. I have concerns with Liljegren in terms of confidence-wise. I think that Sheldon Keefe might have taken it away from him a little bit. Obviously it's on the player to try to get it back and do so with his play, but I think every time he goes out there now, he's kind of looking at this one from the sense of like, I got to be perfect every time I play. And once that starts to get in your mind as a player, especially in this speed, in this environment, in this intensity, as you get closer and closer to playoff time, that can make you panic. That can make you start to get into a situation where your play will start to deteriorate a little bit. So it is a little bit concerning from that standpoint. I think that once they got the 7D, Keefe was a little overzealous, trying to get everyone in and get everyone touches, and basically took some of those minutes away from Liljegren, then ends up sitting him out and into the stands, and you see his play deteriorate after that point. He tries to get back into the lineup, and it's been giveaways, it's been mental errors more than anything. You're not necessarily seeing him lose battles. That's not really something Timothy Liljegren does, but from the standpoint of bad passes, just choosing the wrong players to try to make passes to in terms of breakouts, or firing the puck up the wall a little too quickly, like you're seeing that in Liljegren's game right now, and that's not really been something that's been there all season long. So over the past essentially 2 months, with what is about the worst time left for Liljegren to have this happen, we are seeing some deterioration in his game and in some of these decisions. So it's tough for Liljegren to end up in that spot, but that's ultimately where it is. He's kind of looking like he's going to be the odd man out come playoff time, especially considering how we know Sheldon Keefe loves Justin Holl, loves to keep him in there. He's going to slot in ahead. And when you break down what's on the left side right now, you're not taking out, likely in the playoffs, Keefe's not going to take out Morgan Rielly. He's not going to take out Mark Giordano, not going to take out Jake McCabe. So then slotting in on the right side, you're going to have TJ Brody. You're going to have likely Justin Holl. Then it's down between Schenn and Gustafsson for those last spots and who can fit into this lineup. I think it's kind of interesting to watch the deployment of the 7D. You can clearly tell that Hall isn't necessarily in love with where you're at with Luke Schenn, and doesn't necessarily love what his thoughts are, or the way that he plays his thoughts on Luke Schenn's game. It's not necessarily in line with how he'd like to run things or how he'd like to see things played. So Schenn is obviously getting the lower end of minutes here. It is the natural case with coaches not loving players' games, where they're just going to start to push them down. We're seeing that with Luke Schenn, where he's not really getting the love from Sheldon Keefe, so he's not getting put into those minutes, which I think is interesting, because I do think he deserves to be into the top 6, even if it is in lower down minutes. But one thing you look at with the playoffs, even to my point here, is that the 5th and 6th D get sheltered minutes already when it comes to playoff time. You really run with your top guys anyways, so if you could find Schenn a spot in that bottom end, I think you could get something out of him. But I think he's going to be more of a situational type player. And what I mean is, he's going to be the guy who gets into a game where maybe if the last one was a rough one, Shenn's in the next one, because you're going to be in a spot where you're going to say, hey, we're not going to get pushed around. So you look at his minutes here tonight, and basically he goes second least amount of minutes of defenseman. The next closest was Giordano at 15. Then you slide up to 17.58 for Gustafsson, 18.11 or 18.13 for McCabe, Then moving on to, Justin Hall, 19, 24, and TJ Brody plays the most minutes here tonight with 21. I think it's probably not the worst deployment of minutes. I would still like to see Hall play less minutes than that, but nonetheless, the Leafs find a way to battle back here, respond well, and get the win tonight against the Florida Panthers. So good response, good win, but that's kind of where I'm at with the defenseman, the deployment of 7D in this situation. I don't think it's terrible, but I still would rather see 12-6 come playoff time. And as we're talking about this, likely you're going to get to a spot where Matthew Knies is going to be that 12 forward that slots in the lineup, and I think that's probably fine. I think you're fine with that. O'Reilly comes back in. Aston Reese probably the guy who bumps out of this lineup, and then Matthew Knies gets in there. And then other than that, you just deploy based on situations. Just deploy based on situations. Dan Freeman here saying, I had a split comment there, but go watch the pregame presser, and there's some foreboding body language in his comments. If Gio needs to call out the team mentality, we are in trouble. Well, look, Dan, he says, I'm not a doom and gloom type of fan, but I'm seeing the signs again that these guys need pushes that they just shouldn't need at this point of the year. Well, yeah, they shouldn't need that. They really shouldn't need that. But that being said, they do. So deal with it. Figure it out. Okay, Gio's your guy who steps up and says something. He's the guy who steps up and says something. Ryan O'Reilly, when he's in the locker room, he's going to be a guy who steps up and says something. If you think that year that St. Louis went on the run and they won the Stanley Cup, they didn't have things said to them, they weren't pushed along by guys, I think you're mistaken in that situation. It happens. It happens. You're going to end up in spots where somebody needs to stand up and get the boys going in a moment where maybe you're looking around right now. It's a little bit of a lull. You know you're in the playoffs. You know who you're playing. You're basically just waiting to get there now. Then you kind of need a kick in the pants. I think that the way that they've played over the last little while hasn't been great. It's been actually very disappointing because even in situations where they've got wins, they've been outplayed for the most part. Then you get to a spot here tonight where that doesn't happen. You don't end up in a situation where you have to be, you have to look at the scoreboard after. You have to look at Money Puck and say, well, we were outplayed in this one. No, you weren't. You dominated the game for the most part. You took over right from the beginning, came out and said, we are going to win this one. And from that moment on, they just took over and wheeled right through and dominated. And if it took Gio's comments to get them going, that's what it took. Hopefully it doesn't have to happen again, because I would agree if this has to happen again and then you get to the playoffs and it has to happen again, yes, that is an issue. But for right now, where you're at, where things maybe lull down, then I don't think it's that big of a concern in terms of Mark Giordano having to stand up and say something. So yeah, I think we're fine there. But super chat here from Joe Hill. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. Joe saying, we're undefeated when Curfew scores a goal. Austin's back. Bunting's back. Willie's back. Yeah. So I think that Willie never really went anywhere. I think he was kind of more harshly criticized in the eyes of Sheldon Keefe, which kind of dragged out in through the media. So I don't think that's necessarily something I was concerned about. I also look at this guy, the way that he's performed in playoffs in years past. No matter what, he's elevated his game. So I really wasn't concerned about Willie. I thought it was a little bit of an overreaction from Sheldon Keefe in that standpoint, from that way. So not too worried about that, but definitely was something there. Bunting does look like he's back. He took a little bit of grief from Sheldon Keefe in the third period when he got the high sticking call that ultimately ends up getting called back because Florida high stick themselves. But I think that is at least somewhat deserved. I think he probably knows how to push Bunting's buttons to get him into the right spot. But when you look at what happened with Bunting there, the commentators and Keefe were right, essentially, that he could have ended up taking a 10-minute penalty because of how harsh he was on the refs. And even in that situation, maybe he doesn't take the 10-minute penalty, but guess what? Refs are not going to be happy moving forward. They're going to sit there and look at this guy and be like, screw you, you screamed at me, and then it could end up in a spot where maybe in a tight game where it's a 4-2 game, a 3-2 game where the Leafs are leading and you squeeze out, you avoid that penalty. maybe it turns around where the refs kind of look at you and say, you were giving me shit earlier, and now I'm going to make you pay, and I'm going to give you a penalty here, or I'm going to give the team a penalty here, and screws over the team that way. So, yeah, it is a moment where, hey, reel it in a little bit. I think we're fine, but in terms of Bunting's play, definitely looked like it was back. He scores a goal there tonight, so happy to see that for Bunting. That's going to be something that'll get his confidence riding going forward, and I think help him slot back into the top 6, get his positioning back. So good stuff from Michael Bunting. I do think it was good to see that there, and I think maybe that helps earn some of Sheldon Keefe's trust back. Now, Austin Matthews. This guy is back. Look at the goals he scored here tonight. These aren't fluke, tap in, hit you in the shin pads type goals. We've been talking about over the last little while the moments that that Austin Matthews has had where you can kind of see it creeping back into his play. You can see it sneaking in there where he has these moments where he just takes over on a shift and then it kind of dissipates for a little while and it goes a little bit quiet for a period of time. But guess what? It's starting to look like he's getting it now to 90, 95, 99, near 100% of the game where he can maintain that pressure, maintain that dominance, and go out shift after shift after shift and be a creator, be a driver out there. And if Matthews can do that consistently, he will be a problem for whoever they play in the playoffs because I mean, one thing that was evident, he doesn't even score on this play, but when he chases back in the neutral zone in the third period, lifts the stick of Anthony Duclair, steals it off him, drives around Forsling, and then gets the one-handed shot off, that is a moment that I think as Leafs fans, we need to recognize as being one of those incredible Austin Matthews moments where he is back. He takes the puck over, he takes the shift over, and that is a momentum moment where you look out there from the bench, you watch your best player make an incredible defensive play in the neutral zone, steals the puck, and then he turns quick. He gets on his horse and he goes physical, and he goes with power outside, driving around with one hand. And not only does he drive around with one hand, but he starts to make a move to the net and then actually ends up getting a somewhat decent one-handed backhand shot off on the goaltender. So that was great stuff from Austin Matthews there. I was super happy with that. And then the goals, as I talked about, and as Joe's saying, he's back here. Like that first goal, Marner feeds him in the high slot, and he just rips off like a classic Austin Matthews shot, far side across Bobrovsky's body as he's looking through a screen, beats him around there, gets the puck through. Great stuff from Austin Matthews. Then the second one, gets the pass down low after a one draw in the offensive zone, drives around the net, takes time and space, gets to an open area, and turns and rips it short side. This guy is on the hunt for 40 goals here. If you guys are watching right now, you haven't hit subscribe on this channel, please make sure to do so. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers by playoff time. The other thing that I wanted to mention now is we do have channel memberships. So if this is something you guys are interested in, you guys do want access to different things, there are different tiers of channel memberships. Again, these are completely optional, but I mean, I'll throw some of these out there in the chat right now so you guys can see. You guys will get access to different levels of private emojis that only channel members get. So if you look in the chat there right now, there are a bunch of emojis that were sent by me, and you can see them in there. You guys will get those, like you're looking for playoff mullets, you're looking for dart guy stuff, you're looking for Austin Matthews GQ model or me holding a rally flag. You can get all of those. Those are available in the channel memberships. As you go up in tiers, there's other things that will be added on so that you can get. We're looking at, if we get enough people, we'll potentially do a playoff bracket. Next season, we will 100% do a fantasy league that everyone can compete in, but it does require you to be a channel member. Again, these are completely optional, so I don't want to just tell you guys this and make you feel like this is something you have to do. It is definitely not. You do not have to do this, but if you want access to these things, you can join as a channel member and get access to the different emojis there in the chat that you can have. And the more channel members that we get, the more emojis that we can add. You want different emojis of myself, maybe I can add one of Josh. You want more of Matthews and Marner, all that, you can find it here. And Mark's saying, how does that work? Where do we sign up? If you go to the main page of Leafs Digest, there's an option to click join, and if you click join, then you can join the channel membership. So that's an option there. Just want to remind people, it is a new thing we do have on this channel. It is completely optional, but it's a new thing that we have there. So make sure to check that out. And thank you guys for your support. But hit subscribe, like this stream again, as people are reminding you in the chat. If you get to 50 likes on the stream, we do have the salts. But before I get to some more stuff here, before I get to the next super chat that's here, I just want to remind people that you can, if you are looking for a new car, go to the Queensway Automotive Group site. This is our new sponsor here on this channel. The link is attached at the very top of the chat there. It is also in the description of this video. So you're looking for a new or a used car, you're looking for different brands, you're looking for trucks, you're looking for sedans, whatever it is, you can find it over at the Queensway Automotive Group. So click the link there. It is specific to the Leafs Digest channel. It'll send you over to their website and you can check out everything that they've got on there. You can send them a message from the Leafs Digest page if you are interested in different stuff. If you are looking for a car, you have questions, you need repairs done, whatever it is, those guys over there, they can be your car guys. We did get to meet with them ourselves, meet with them in person. The Raptors Digest, the Jays Digest, those guys are on board as well. They are new here to the Toronto sports creators, but if you're looking for new car, used car, or you're looking for repairs or work done on your car, make sure to check that out over at the Queensway Automotive Group. Link is pinned at the top of this video. It is also in the description of this video, so check that out. And if anybody wants to call in here tonight, again, reminder that you can send me a message on Discord. I will send you the message and you guys can call in. I'll give you a private link. You guys can call in, let me know your thoughts on the game, let me know how you guys are feeling about this one. But super chat here from Maxentius. Again, thank you, Maxentius, for the super chat. Max saying, "This is for Gordon." Shout out, Gord. Gord probably working right now over there. Max saying, "This is for Gordon. Hall played well tonight. 100 emoji." Yes, he is playing well here. He did play decently well here tonight. I will admit that. I mean, looking at his stats here tonight, he's a +3. He gets an assist on the night. He has 2 shots on goal. Blocked shots, he has 2 of those. He did have 2 hits as well, and he played 19 minutes and 24 seconds of time on ice. Again, with me, I think that it's one of those things where Hall probably shouldn't be playing as many minutes as he is. You're probably better suited with him in a little bit of a lower down position, but he played the minutes tonight, and he played well. So kudos to him. I can't shy away from that. It happened. He did play pretty well. Shout out to Justin Hall for his play here tonight. But again, a reminder, guys, and I don't want to be the negative Debbie Downer here on the stream. I don't want to be that person, but it is something to remember when you are watching this, and people in the chat, when we're going to sit here and say, oh, it's going well, or if you are someone who's a Hall lover, you have these games where you sit here and you say, hey, he played well, he did these things well. It is something with him where there's going to be an absolute stinker around the corner, and you just kind of got to hope and pray that it doesn't come at the worst possible time, because that is something that is bound to happen in Justin Hall's game. That is the honest truth. Stephen Beer saying, hey, Zach, what do you think of Murray's game tonight? Do you think Leafs should play Murray on the road and Sammy at home come playoff time? No, I don't. I think in the playoffs, more than ever, it is important to get with a guy who can roll through consistently and get continuous minutes and get on a roll. That is something that when you get to the playoffs, it is the most important, in my opinion, because you kind of need to get to a spot where you can rock with a consistent goaltender. Like, you rock on a consistent basis with a goalie, they get going, and then you can ride them. The playoffs are one area where it's almost treated a little bit different than everywhere else, I would have to say, where it's like, it feels like momentum can get built up in a goaltender more than usual. It can get built up in a goaltender to a different degree, where you all of a sudden are kind of looking at a guy, the way that he's playing, the way that everything's rolling with him, and then they start to dial into the zone. Look at Vasilevsky when it comes playoff time. That is a guy who really dials in. Look at the way that Jake Ottinger played for Dallas last year. He got dialed in, and as soon as he did, it really started to steamroll. Now, those are those are guys specifically that I look at, and yes, are they in a position where they are elite tier goaltenders? Yes, they are 100%. They are definitely elite goaltenders. That being said, with those guys, like, you basically end up in a spot where if you get an average goaltender who can get rolling, they can really, really get rolling, and things can really start to turn around for them. So that's kind of where I come at from that with the goaltenders, is like, I'm fine with one guy playing. I think Samsonov deserves the net right now. I think he deserves to hold that spot. That is definitely something for me where I look at with this and say, hey, this is still Samsonov's net. He still deserves to be the guy, and nothing has really changed for me on that aspect. All right, I do want to shout out Mark and Joe Hill here for the channel memberships. First of all, Mark joining the Elite tier, and then Joe Hill joining the Magic member tier. Obviously, like the Elite tier coming in there. That is you are a member, you are elite. And then Joe saying the Magic member tier, that is nicknamed obviously after Mitch Marner, that's for sure. We'll get these like colors sorted out, everything. We're still working on the customization of stuff, but as you can see, Mark and Joe, their names in the chat will be a different color. They got the little icons beside them. They are members there, and Mark, firing off the image of me holding the towel and Joe firing away the dart guy emojis there. Those are some things that you get access to. But thank you guys so much for joining the channel memberships. It is greatly appreciated, and as we continue to build this thing, it is something that we will add more and more perks for everyone, but you will continue to get channel memberships. Your names will scroll across the screen there after this kind of stuff, and we continue to add after you see all the stats. We're thanking channel members, so thank you guys for being members of the stream. It is greatly appreciated. It means a lot to us here on the Leafs Digest and with the Digest Media, so thank you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the emojis, and the more members we get, the more emojis that we can add to this. That is one thing that YouTube does, where the more you get, the more we can add. So thank you guys. If anyone wants to call in here, then I will take those calls. So just a reminder to join the Leafs Digest Discord. We'll take your calls, hear people's thoughts on how they feel. But Max saying I can't find the channel membership. It is on the main page of the Leafs Digest channel. If you go to that, you can click join, and there should be an option to join the channel there from there. So that should be where it is. But yes, thank you guys. Robert Smith, thank you for joining the channel membership. Greatly appreciate it. We'll continue to shout these out. I don't have an animation here. I thought about. I don't have one right now for this. I should have got that done, but yeah, I don't right now. It's something that I'll get going moving forward, but definitely will be something to add to this when we get new members that we add on. We'll do a little animation for people who do that. So thank you guys for that. But we do have a caller on the line, and before we get to the caller, I just got to play this real quick because this is something we've added on. Oh, that's nifty. There you go. The Queensway Automotive Hotline calling in for the first time on the Queensway Automotive Group Hotline. Joe Hill. Joe, how's it going?
Hey, Zach, you're doing well. Congratulations on the sponsor. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's pretty cool getting that, having that happen, get them to reach out. And, one thing, like, yes, I got the sponsorship. It is very cool for myself. But one thing I will continue to stress, and I hope people understand and actually truly, realize here, is how appreciative I am of everyone who's subscribed, continues to come to the show, because if it's not for you and Gordon and RJWI, Rob and Vincent and Craig and Mark and all these people who came here at the very beginning, Mark Sherry, who continued to come back and help grow this channel to the place that it is right now. I mean, there's so many people that I can't even just get to on this list. Even I'm looking, Maxentius, Stephen Beer, 6 1/3, all these people help grow this channel to the point that it's at Robert Smith, Craig Harrison there with the elite tier memberships. As soon as you guys do this, you join this channel, you subscribe, it helps us build this to the point where someone does want to work with us and does want to come. So I mean, that is a big thing. But yes, thank you, and I do appreciate the words there, Joe. But how's it going tonight? How are you feeling right now?
Dude, well, I was getting a tattoo during the game, so I was
Very
listening to
nice.
the game, and so my arm is now a balloon, and I'm very happy. So,
Very nice.
but it definitely made the night go by a little bit faster. When they're rolling, you can tell, after the game on Tuesday, you could see that they were a little bit fired up, during the game because things weren't going their way. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to be Florida come Thursday. And I was hoping they were going to come out strong, and they really did. So I was really happy
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, and Florida's in a spot right now where they have really been on a roll here. You're looking at this team, like, other than really the loss against the Flyers the other night, they've really started to push themselves back, battle back into a position where they could get into a spot where, I mean, you look out there, you look at them, they were in a playoff spot. They lose to the Flyers the other night. Pittsburgh wins, so they get back over them. But like, this team has been playing very well lately. They've been starting to get things rolling. It's been looking really good. And then you're sitting there from a Leafs perspective like, wow, we haven't been playing that well recently. We haven't been doing good things. What are we looking for? What are we looking at here in this game against the Panthers? And wow, I mean, you got to hear this one. So did you get to hear Joe Bowen's call?
Joe wasn't on tonight. They had some other guy. Jim Ralph was on though, and Jim, being the straight man still. So it was kind of
Yeah.
like having two Jim Ralphs. It wasn't great, but it was,
Okay.
it was what it was. So, but that's okay. When they score, it wasn't as great as Joe, but you know how it is. So
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
we got a lot of new members. I'm gonna let you call them out because this is exciting. This is
This
awesome.
is very exciting. I apologize to people who are like, wow, you're shouting out members the whole time. I'm just very appreciative of the ones that we have. This is something where we will continue to shout them out as we do get new members joining into the stream. And in future, the people who are already members will be recognized throughout the show. On the bottom bar, your names will scroll up on there. You'll be able to see your name recognized throughout the show on that. But as we continue to get new members here, I'm going to shout people out. So shout out to Max Sentius Decimus for the Magic member tier, Arnav B for the Elite member tier there, and Craig Harrison, Robert Smith for their channel memberships. Thank you guys so much. It is very, very appreciated as you guys continue to add those. And one thing I said is I will add animations when we get members, so I can play them as well on the stream live. But Joe, I'm just gonna ask you. This is off topic, but you got a tattoo tonight on your arm. What'd you get?
Well, this is round two of three, but I got a Japanese toad, like a
Okay,
like a lucky money toad. It's on my left forearm. I have a squid already on that forearm, so this is going to complete that portion of a sleeve,
nice.
and it's on the underside of the forearm, so it was
Okay,
particularly, and on the wrist, so it was pretty tender.
yeah.
I'm not going to lie,
Yeah,
it
well,
was a
I
little
got
rough.
my first the last Friday.
Congratulations.
So that was not my first one, but my first big piece, and that was on my arm there. So that was what I got. And Dukes wants to know, did you get a Justin Hall tattoo after tonight, Joe? How do you? Well, I mean, I guess you didn't
Why
get to
not?
see it, but the Leafs fans, I think, deservingly so for Justin Hall. He played a good game, and he's getting recognition. Where are you at with Justin Hall based on what you're at least hearing out of how he played tonight?
Maybe I should just get a tattoo of him throwing that puck in that one game, catching and throwing.
Man, I forgot about that until you just said it. That was erased from my memory, but yes. Yes. Now it's going to be brought right back. It's going to be forefront for me.
Look, man, we always said this about Hall is when he's on, he's on. And when he's not, he is not. It's just like one of those things. So
Yeah.
what I'm more interested in is how well they played without Morgan Riley. Oh God, I wasn't on the like trade Riley train at all. And now it's kind of like I know he has a ton of no move clauses, but I'm hoping he will step up like the other guys are stepping up. I know he was just resting. They're just resting him tonight because they're doing 11-7 thing. But
Hmm.
I'm really hoping that games like this will fire him up to get him going again, to be an offensive presence, to be that guy that we need him to be. He seems to be having stirrings of that, but we really love to see with all the guys coming back at the same time right now. It seems like they're starting to find their game again. It would be really great to see him find his game as well. I want to know how you felt about Gustafson QBing the power play tonight, because he seemed to be doing really well, and we got our first 5-on-3, and so that made
Yeah.
me happy. So that made me happy. But I wanted to know what you thought, or if you had noticed his play at all, or had any thoughts on that.
Yes, so I will get to that. Few housekeeping things here very quickly. Welcome, Vincent. OG, as I saw someone said here, people who are members should be called the OGs. Yes, thank you, Vincent, for the channel membership. And Joe, of course, we got the 50 likes, so I have to
Okay,
have to do
you
this.
gotta do
Has
it.
to happen. Yeah, yeah, it's mandatory at this point. It is what it is.
I
But
might grab some in solidarity with you to do this during the playoffs with you if I call in. Mm, mm.
all right. There you
There
go.
you
You know
go.
what? I'll send you the link, and if you want them, you can get the same ones that I have. We could be in the same pain. You can understand, because I feel like people maybe don't necessarily know how much they actually hit you, but they hit you.
I used to do salts before. I wasn't when I was a goalie. So
Right.
yeah, I get it. I get it.
Okay. Okay. Also, I'm just to let everybody know, I'm getting updates from my dad here. 3-2 Minnesota, 1 minute left in the second. So Minnesota up now. 3-2 on Canisius. So Matthew Nye is doing that. And yes, I saw a question there asking how to become a channel member. It is on the main page of the Leafs Digest channel. You can go there, click that. And Jeff McBride also saying you need a smelling salts sponsorship. Yes, I do. If anybody knows how to get in contact with these people or can get another smelling salts brand on, get them in. Let me know, and we'll get that worked out. That would be something I'd be happy for. But
There's also a join button right next to the Leafs Digest logo here as we're watching, guys. So if you look down the
oh,
bottom left of your screen, you will see the Leafs Digest logo, and then join is right next to it. Just click on that, and you will be able to join at whatever tier you want. Just FYI.
oh, okay. Thank you. Did not know that. Did not know that. I appreciate it. There you
Sorry.
go. Yeah, no, it helps out. It helps out. I appreciate it. All right, Gustafson. I want to talk about Gustafson because I'll first touch on what you asked with the power play. I liked him. One thing that I liked, which is gonna sound insanely stupid, and I get it, but I think a lot of other Leafs fans are really gonna resonate with this. With this. Gustafson basically, like 15 seconds into the power play on his first go around, shot the puck.
Yeah.
And it is the smallest thing. It is something that is like, well, yeah, the defenseman's supposed to shoot the puck, but that's much different from what we've experienced with Morgan Riley as the QB of Power Play 1. That's not something he does. That's not something he regularly does. And one thing I think when that happens there with him is that the other team can basically slack off of that, right? It's something that they don't have to pressure out to. You have to be aware of him being there because it's not like he can't score, but it's something where you look at him and you kind of go like, he's not a threat to shoot from the point. Well, Gustafson got the puck immediately and shot the puck, and now all of a sudden Florida's probably sitting there like, well, we haven't game planned for a Leafs power play that includes the defenseman shooting the puck. So now it's going to pull everybody out, and it allows for the guys inside, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Matthews, down low a little bit to have a little bit more freedom as well. And the rebound area, like you're saying, because now what happens is before, when Riley was at the point and everyone's shrunk down a little bit, a shot comes from the point, it's going to be very easy to clear it because it's going to be hard for the forwards to get in, hard for them to get involved, and then everyone on the defensive side can just clear it, or if the Leafs do get it back, it's going to be in a jammed up spot. Now what happens is if he pulls out and he does shoot the puck, the guys at the top, they're forced to spread a little bit, which this is what it helps Matthews with. Remember when he was going through that whole period of time where he would come up high, get the pass, turn quick, and have that space where he could curl and shoot. Now he's got that ability a little bit more because he's got a little bit more freedom. He's got a little bit more room than what he had before because everyone else was a little bit more collapsed, a little bit tighter. He's going to have harder lanes to shoot through. Now it's a little bit more opened up. The other thing here with Gustafson that I noticed, he moves the puck quick. Morgan Riley would get the puck at the top and take a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then move the puck. And then he's looking. Gustafson kind of seems like he knows where he's passing the puck before he's even got it. And
Yeah.
it's an underrated thing where you might look at it and say, okay, stop passing so much. Like, hey, get the puck. We want shots on goal. Yeah, you do want shots on goal. But guess what? If Gustafson is going to get the pass from Marner on the half wall on the right, and before he even has to look, he knows Matthews is open on the left side, all he has to do is receive that pass, boom, it's over there to Matthews, and he can get a shot away. Same thing on the inverse going the other way, even if it's Nylander coming up the wall. So you basically open up a spot there where the puck can move so much quicker that you can generate more shots. Now, I look at this one here tonight. Yes, they go 1 for 4 on the power play. That obviously came on the 5-on-3, but even in the spots that they were in on the other power plays, it felt more dangerous. It felt like they could score. And I'll throw to you here, like, because I know that you're probably going to have opinions on this as well. I want to know where you come from with Gustafson. And then I have thoughts on his 5-on-5 game, because it's something that I really wanted to talk about with Gustafson here tonight as well. But what are your thoughts on Gustafson taking over PP1?
Well, I love what you said about him shooting right away, because this is one of the things that we saw when Connor Timmins was playing one game and Ryan O'Reilly had just come on. And what O'Reilly really did so well is move guys out of the front of the net, which is why I'm excited to see Gustafson and O'Reilly maybe play together on a power play, because him having the opportunity to shoot from the point, he obviously knows what he's doing, and in that regard. But it's like you said, it gives more opportunity. Even if the goalie stops it, chances are it's going to rebound, which gives O'Reilly or Austin or somebody else a chance to get a second chance at it. We haven't seen very many second chances on the power play because they either get smothered up or they had to go in too close or do it. Now, granted, getting in close is great, but it just gives you more options when you have somebody shooting from the point like that, because they have less guys. We have more guys. It's just simple mathematics. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. I really am looking forward to ROR getting back, because I really want to see what's going to happen with that, if they even are thinking along those lines. But I hope they are. So
right. Yeah, well, I would agree with that. I think that one thing, too, that you're talking about there that was actually like a very, very good point that you brought up is that when we were looking at this power play earlier on in Matthews, Marner, Nylander's careers, when they were the guys running out there, even JT, is that Riley was in a position where he was creating more offensively, and a lot of it was coming from the power play. And during that period of time, he was shooting a little bit more. And even in that time, it was to the point where the other team maybe hadn't necessarily recognized or game planned Riley doesn't shoot the puck. So what happened was they were a little bit more spread out, and the amount of times Matthews or Marner or Nylander would shoot it from the outside and a puck would bounce out, and it wasn't so clogged that they could get to a rebound and score. It was happening at a much higher frequency. How many times can you sit here and say that you've seen some type of highlight of Matthews banging home a rebound on a power play where it's a beautiful shot, yes, but he's essentially jumping to a rebound very quickly? That disappeared over this full season, basically. And then I would say basically the last 3 and a bit months of last season, and then into the playoffs, like that was gone. With Gustafson there, it felt like it was back.
It did feel like that. And our power play wasn't the strongest going into the playoffs last year. It sure would be swell. Gee golly, it would be swell if we can seem to get some of the just some more strength on that, because I mean, Boston is going to be jumping on power plays. Pretty much anybody is going to be jumping on. Tampa definitely will, because they rely on the power play very, very strongly because they have a strong one. So we're just gonna. Thankfully, our penalty kill's good, but I just want to see more power play goals, because I mean, if McDavid can get to 60, on power play goals, I mean, sure. I mean, there's something to be said for it. So, and that's not taking anything away, Oilers fans, from what McDavid did. I'm just saying that 31 of them were scored on the power play. Let's just be honest, okay? Come on.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's true. It is what it is. Like that's what happened. He scores a lot on the power play, and a lot of that is because their power play is able to open things up and generate those chances. And then obviously you add in Connor McDavid. He's going to be able to score a lot, and he's taken a little bit more of a shooter's mentality into this season. But it happens,
And
and
he's
that's the
good.
way he is. You got to take
Yeah, and
advantage of those.
he's good. I mean, go for it.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about Gustafson's 5-on-5 play because I think he's deserving of getting an opportunity here if he can continue this down the stretch. If he is pulled out in the next game, I actually might have a heart attack watching this and realizing that he's not going to play, because I think he was deserving of being in this lineup here tonight. I think he's deserving of being in the lineup going forward. Looking at his game, he plays 17:58. It is the fourth least, I guess, so also fourth most of the Leafs defensemen here tonight. He's smack dab in the middle of those guys. But you know what? He came out here and basically moved the puck well. He advances the puck up ice very well. He was in position a lot. I felt like he was just a guy. He ends up as an even on the night. He's not a plus, not a minus. He's an even, but he just looks calm and comfortable. He's capable of taking the puck out of plays, finding guys up ice, moving the puck, advancing it up. And the other thing that he can do as well, on top of being able to pass it well, is move his feet. He seems to be a pretty good skater. He's a bigger body out there. I liked what I've seen from him at 5-on-5. Now here's where the difficulty comes. He's a left-handed defenseman, so where does he hop in? Like Sandin was the odd man out because he also was a left-handed defenseman, and he's looking at a roster of guys up ahead of him that it's going to be hard to get past. Yes, it's also going to be hard to get past the guys here. That hasn't changed for Gustafsson, but I think he deserves an opportunity. I think he really deserves an opportunity.
I mean, anybody who can QB a power play and somewhat competently is somebody we don't have a lot of. And so I think having that, at least for the next few games, at the very least, especially going up against Carolina and going up against Nashville, those are going to be opportunities, I think, for a defenseman to shine or fail pretty quickly. Right. So I think that's a good litmus test. And we're playing with house money right now when it comes to some of these games. I mean, they're going to be tough. They're all on the road. If we lose, we lose. We can write it off and then move on. So I think that's a good opportunity for him to shine. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, I just think he deserves the chance. I think he looked good. I haven't really looked at him in any of the games and said he hasn't looked good. I think maybe the first one, maybe the second one where he got in, it was a little uncomfortable, but now this has started
That was Calgary, right? That was Calgary that we played against?
I believe it was Calgary. It was first game that he got into, and it's just now it's starting to look like he's feeling right. He feels good, and as you mentioned, if you can quarterback the power play, and you should be in on there on the power play, like, I'm not saying this to diss on the guy, but Justin Hall is here because Sheldon Keefe loves him on the penalty kill.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to flip around and say you're going to love special teams guys and they deserve spots in the lineup because of special teams, Gustafsson was much better than Riley here tonight, looked like, on the power play. Now, this is the first time that he's playing with them in a game situation. We're hearing a lot about him practicing with them, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
It's almost like we saw them step up when Riley was injured earlier this year, and when he gets he's in the press box, they step up again. So it's not exactly causation / correlation, but I'm interested to see if maybe they sit him again for Nashville, because Nashville are a bunch of bruisers. Maybe sit some of those guys out and play with the new guys. Right. I'd like to see that. Maybe, especially I'd love to see Luke Shen play against Nashville. Hell, I'd like to see Luke Shen play, against Carolina, because he was very effective against them at home. So
agreed.
Anyway,
yeah,
just a few thoughts there.
Joe, there's a question in the chat here from Stephen Beer. He says, you like our chances against Tampa right now the way they are playing, or you think Tampa is going to turn it around and play beast mode in the playoffs?
I think the playoffs are an entirely different animal than the regular season, guys, and they always are. Now, that being said, they might not find a way to turn it around. They might come limping into the playoffs, and when we beat them round one. I have anxiety with regular season games, guys. I sometimes have a hard time watching the first period because I want to see how it's going. before I start to commit time to the rest of it. That's how much anxiety I get sometimes. But um, I mean, even after our loss on Tuesday, they don't play well on Mondays and Tuesdays, so it's kind of like a shoulder shrug for me. It was embarrassing. It made me angry, but at the same time, they're professionals. I knew they could bounce back. These next 10 games are going to be tough. They're going to be very tough.
Mhm.
But yes, I think the Maple Leafs are a great team. I think when they start to realize it is when they're going to play up to that. I think they're starting to realize it a little bit. Um, and having a backup goalie with a 10-4-1 10-4-1 record, and we have a starting goalie with an even better record. I am liking our chances when it comes to goaltending this year. I'm liking our chances with defense, and I love our chances with the guys like, Willie, Austin, Mitch. All of them
Mhm.
are waking up right now. So yeah, I'm confident against it. Tampa is a very tough team, but I think it'll make for a very fun series, and I'm hoping that we come out on top. So
Yeah.
let's just say that.
All right. Super chat here from Max Entius. Thank you, Max, for the super chat as always. But Max saying thoughts of Tavares tonight. So Joe, I'll go to you first. The other night against the Islanders, Tavares not only was not good, but he actually, in fact, was pretty bad against the Islanders. One thing that I noted for him was he kind of seemed not just a step behind the whole time, but there was instances where he was consistently losing his stick or falling
Mm-hmm.
over, or he just didn't look right. He was missing passes. He couldn't receive passes, whatever it was. Like, he was very off. Now, tonight, that obviously changes. He doesn't have that happen, but
Three
he's
assists
not.
tonight. Three assists, four assists.
Let me pull to double check. He had 3 assists. Yes, he had three
Yeah,
assists here tonight. Yeah, like he had a good assist
better.
night, much better. Where are you at on Tavares and the way that he played against the Island? The way that we've kind of seen him deteriorate a little bit, especially speed wise, and that dominance factor. Where are you at with JT? Are you nervous about him at all? And where do you kind of stand after his game here tonight?
I think the guys were able to turn. I think all the guys were pissed at themselves um, after Tuesday. I think we were all disappointed in them. I think they were disappointed in themselves.
Yep,
Um,
as they should have been.
and as they should have been. I mean, it's the freaking Islanders. At least Pierre Engvall didn't score, but you let Clutterbuck score two on you. That's unacceptable to me,
I
guys.
thought
The
we were
guys
getting
like
a pure Engvall 3+ tonight.
I thought he was for sure going to score a Hattie. I was on a Hattie watch for that guy. Anyway, um, DraftKings got $5 from me on that one. But anyway, so but they had but yeah, let me just say this. I thought tonight was better. I liked it. I want to hear something that you might think. Um, I will love Tavares even more than I already do when he signs in 2 years for like a 2 or 3 year deal at 3 million per.
Well, I agree on the term. I don't think that the cost is what is. I don't say this to knock you, but I don't think the cost is realistic at at that point. I would say 3 years, yes, likely, but I think you're still looking at like easily
Five.
5.5. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, okay.
plus.
I'd
Yeah,
like him even more than making half of what he's making, right?
yeah, because I
For what
think
we are
how.
seeing out of him the last 2 years, it's not a declination necessarily, but it is not peak Tavares.
Mhm.
Okay. And the head injury, the slow year after that, he starts out fire, but he's getting tired towards the end. You're starting to see the gears wear a little bit, and
Mhm.
it's nothing against the captain, so to speak, but I like him. I really like him on the wing with ROR. I'm really impressed with his flexibility there. I like how he's willing to do that. I'd like to see him on the line with Marner and O'Reilly again. Um, I just think that it's getting to the end of the season. He needs a little bit of a break here. I think if we can give him a week off in that last week when we're playing Boston and those other guys, I'd for sure love to see Holmberg, McMahon, and all these other guys get called up and we just send out AHL guys for the last week because we're gonna grip it by then. Because I just don't. His health is questionable to me
Hmm.
at this point. After that Vancouver game where he took a shot to the head, it seems like he was a little bit slow coming back from it. And we're starting to see him come back around, I think. But tonight was a good opportunity for him to bounce back. He did. But there is some questions there in my mind, health wise. And I'll just say that. Maybe that's my long winded way of answering. So,
Well, here's where I go because I see some people in the chat kind of questioning my $5 million, and I understand why. And Rob RJWI bringing up he's 32, he's 33 this year. Yes, correct. He will be 34, 35 at the time of the next contract. But one thing to remember, and it's something Gord and Dukes have brought up here. Gord first saying he skated the same his entire career. He pretty much has. I think he's a little bit slower now. I don't think that that's something we can dispute. I think he is slower now. I think that's reality. But his point production is the same. He's still point per game. And Duke's also saying he's been incredibly consistent in terms of points and defensive abilities as well as in the faceoff dot. And I would agree with those points as well from both these guys. So I think that that's something where it's like if next year he's point per game as well, and then the next year he's point per game, you're looking at that contract. That's kind of why I think it would be closer to the 5.5 than it would be to going down and dropping down to like maybe that $2-3 million. I don't think we're really
what's
far
Sid
off,
making?
but
What's Sid making right now?
8.7.
8.7. How old is he?
Uh,
Sorry.
33.
So fast.
I'm
33?
guessing. Pulling up real quick. 35.
Okay.
But remember, he signed his contract years before.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, I mean, he's not clutch like Sid is, but he's a point per player game, man. The guy's no joke. So, and yeah, we can say roar if you want to, guys, instead of ROR. Sorry, I don't know. You think it makes it more efficient? That's good. I feel like ROR is clunky as well, but I just hope we can re-sign him so I can keep making this mistake. Anyway, yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on JT. I think 5.5 would be fair. That's what I was thinking, but I think that's a hometown discount for a guy of his caliber for 2 or 3 years. So,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying though, is like 5.5, and then he takes a discount from there. Like I could still see it being like 5.5, 6. Maybe he drops it down to like 4.5 or something like that. I could see that being reality. Because the other thing is like he torched an entire fan base by leaving the island, coming to Toronto. What's he going to do? He's going to leave again? I don't think so, unless he basically falls off a cliff and scores like 10, 15 points the next seasons. But yeah, like I kind of see that being where it is. Arnett B saying, and I just want to answer this, he says, in playoffs, get an iPad and start, Zach, get in the playoffs, get an iPad and start analyzing plays. It would be great to have a segment in the show where you think like a coach and break down one good play and one bad one. This is something I'm looking into. I'm trying to figure out how to have something interactive on the screen for you guys, because I always go to like showing you on my hands like what I'm thinking about and what I saw and why I saw what was wrong. And I would much rather it be something on the screen that I could go to. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that I can get something that I could pull up and draw on the screen for. So yes, this is something that I've thought about and is in the works, and I'm going to try to have happen for the playoffs. It's just right now, logistically, I can't figure it out. So if anyone has any ideas, send me something and I'll figure that out and see if I can add it in for the playoffs. But Arnav, yes, that is definitely something I'm looking for.
by the way, guys in the chat, I love JT as well. I'm not saying that he's falling off like considerably. I'm just saying that I felt like I saw a little bit of what's to come, perhaps in the next couple of years on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like he lost a step a little bit. I don't know what it was. Maybe he didn't have the right kombucha. I don't know. It just seemed off. So, and it was concerning. That's all. He just, of course, it could be just going back to the island and they're terrible people and fans. So it could, that can grind on you psychologically. So that might have been it too. Who knows? Anyway.
Yes.
4-2 mini. Okay. Right now.
Okay. Too bad.
Have some class, Zach. Don't
I
root
think
against the kid
I think the
to
sooner you
lose.
get him here, the better. The sooner you get him here, the better. That's all. That's all.
Yeah,
That's
let's
what
get
it
his
is.
first game in Nashville. Let's just get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Carolina Saturday. That is first game. Correct?
Well,
Am
yeah,
I?
but he won't play that.
Well. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
All
um,
right. You're
uh,
very optimistic, aren't you? Yes,
yeah,
you are.
yes, I am. Okay. So there was a question here about. Just want to answer it quickly. From Stephen Beer. Zach, do you think the head injury against the Habs series really made JT a little slow, or he's getting old? I think he's just getting old. I think that he had a little bit of a slower transition into the next season and getting back to where he was at.
Mhm.
But where in terms of like actually being slow, I think it's just age, and he's been the same skater his career as Gord brought up. So that was something. But I'm seeing suggestions here. Gord says, I have a huge whiteboard in my room. You might consider getting one and placing it right behind you for when you need it. That's something that I could do as well. And then Do Good saying you could bring paint onto the screen. Microsoft Paint. Yes, that is something as well that I could potentially do. But I have some ideas. I've been trying to find just an interactive hockey board online that I could potentially use and bring up on screen. So that is something that I'm looking at as well. So don't worry, guys. Like I'm thinking about these things. I'm trying to figure out what I could do. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Yeah.
All right. Matt Murray. Where are we at with Matt Murray here? We're looking at this guy here tonight. 33 saves and 943 save percentage. Had a near goal of the or save of the year, excuse me, candidate with that backhand glove save that he makes on Tkachuk that ultimately ends up crossing the line. It did cross the line. It is 100%. Oh my God, it's 5-2 now apparently. It did cross the line clearly. I don't have any issues with that. Being called a goal, but near save of the game. He did have an incredible night the other night against the Senators. I think he should have stayed in and played against the Islanders in the next game, especially considering Sammy was waiting for his
About to have a
kids, waiting for
kid.
all this stuff to
Yeah.
happen. I think he should have played. One thing I'll answer real quick because I see Robert actually asked this before as well, and I think maybe Dan Freeman had asked this before, saying, "Will you commentate the playoff games?"
That's tricky.
I'm thinking about it. If there is enough interest from you guys of having me do it, then it's something I will be interested in doing if people will watch and we can get numbers on the thing. Obviously, like that has to be something there because the other thing that I just need to remind people of, and I'm sorry, it is a little selfish, but the games are 3 hours long and then we do the post game streams, especially in the playoffs, usually for 2 hours. That's a long time on camera sitting here. So, because I do want to continue the post games, I think that's where people get the biggest kick out of, biggest engagement, and we get the calls and everything. But maybe we can do like the third period. Maybe I'll start then. So, but if there's enough interest and people want to do it, then that's something I'll look into. But as of right now, it's not like, oh, I am going to do these. It's just so people know. Like it's not like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. But back on topic here. Matt Murray. Joe, what are your thoughts on Matt Murray right now, how he's played recently, and is there anything he can do to get himself back into a spot where he's the number one guy? Is there anything at all?
I think it's Sammy's to lose at this point.
Right.
Um, if 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 he starts to get cold, um, over the course of whenever he comes back. I'm assuming he'll be back by Saturday, if not then probably by next week. If he starts to fall off against the likes of Columbus or Nashville or when we're coming back around to Florida and all these guys, it could very well go to Murray. I don't see that happening though. I think he is a solid backup. Uh, Tonight he looks the way he typically looks. He is very calm. He is not uh, he's not squirrely as Sammy is, but sometimes Sammy is a lot faster than Matt is side to side, and his glove hand is a little bit weak in my opinion. And so that second goal seemed to get past him a little. He should have had it, and it's just those types of things. I see. I like Sammy a lot more for. And Sammy lets in some stinkers sometimes too, but none of these guys are infallible. They both have 9.00 plus save percentages. They're both very good goalies right now. I think Matt, whenever he's playing in that, it never seems to be going away from him. And tonight, it definitely didn't seem like it was going away from him either. So he just clamped down and didn't allow four this time, which was great. That's a good change of pace. So that's why I think it's Sammy's to lose still. I think it was a good game tonight. I'd like to see more consistency on letting in less goals. But he's solid on the road, dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know how else to put it. But I just think that Sammy is still going to be the starter just because of the cumulative play over the season. So
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think that's probably where we come at with Samsonov in this one as well, as he's the guy who has essentially like fought for this position, fought for this net, and he deserves it right now. The way that he's been playing recently and on a more consistent basis, I think that where you kind of get to with him is a little bit of like, okay, yeah, he struggles on the road a little bit for sure. That's something that is a reality with him. It happens. It is what it is. But for the most part, we've seen Murray deal with injuries or illnesses or have these really shaky games. And even in these games that he's won recently over the last little while, we've still seen out of him where he's allowing 4+. He's allowing these things to happen. And ultimately, as much as you may love him or whatever, like anybody may love him and love what he's kind of contributes and what he's bringing, you don't want that to be the case come playoff time. Like, you just really don't want to have to deal with that. So when I look at,
psychologically too, he already has two rings. So I mean, I
yes,
think Sammy, I think Sammy has more to prove, and I think he's going to play like he has something to prove.
yes,
I don't want to say that Murray's not going to play as hard as he can. He is, but there's just that thing in me that says um, when it comes down to it, I think Sammy's just going to grit it out a little bit more because he wants it a little bit more because he hasn't been to that mountaintop yet. So I
yeah.
interrupted you, so I apologize, but that's just what I'm also thinking there. So
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate you hopping in and saying that. Like, I just think that where we're at with Samsonov, the way that he's played recently, reality is, I think he deserves it. I think he deserves the net. I think he deserves to hold on to it. I think he was thrown into a crappy situation the other day. I don't think he should have been in that game.
mhm.
Um,
I don't know. I don't know if he made that call or if Keith made that call.
yeah.
Um, I just whoever made that call made the wrong call. Let's just say that, right?
Yes.
And I you could tell that Sammy was pissed at himself. I think more than anything, he's like, I have bigger fish to fry because he has stuff at home. But I was looking at him and I just put my old school goalie shoes on. I was like, he's mad at himself, man. He is mad at the team. He's mad at himself
Yeah.
because they hung him out to dry.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could have stopped half of them because they just gave up. They gave up and then he gave up. And that was all there was to it. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I'm just going to show this real quick because I think I might have figured something out in the background here.
Hell yeah, but yeah, I saw you doing a search there. That's cool.
Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, you can see that. I didn't realize you could see that. All right, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, all right, I think I might have figured something out. I don't know what you'll be able to see now when I flip to this, but there we go. And
It's you.
yeah,
Hey.
okay. I see what you see. I see what you see. I see what you see. Okay, yeah. So look, I can. Ooh, oh, look at that. Very fancy, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I think we got this one figured out, but I can't figure out the erase button now. Okay, there you go. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's very easy. All right, you know what? Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Come playoff time, we'll get that rock, and I'll figure out all the logistics to make this a little smoother so that we don't have things going everywhere left and right. But yeah, there you go. Perfect for playoffs. We get that up on the screen, or maybe as we go down the stretch, we get something up on the screen. We can actually break things down. I'm not going to do it here today because, Joe, I think even you realized there was a whole bunch of different things that were happening on the screen all at once that I couldn't figure out how or why. Even when you were like, "Oh, I saw you searching," I was like, "What?" Like, but
multiple monitors are fun. Anyway,
yes. Yeah, that was really confusing. All right. Anyways, yeah, but I think with Murray, I think we're just in a position that I think he just hasn't really earned the trust. And I think that even though we were in a spot before where you look at him, you say, hey, he's the guy who won the cups, he's the guy who did this. One thing I think that people might be quick to forget here in all of this, he didn't play every game in those playoff runs. Guess what happened with him? He dealt with injuries. Fleury went down, Murray played, Jeff Zatkoff had to come in and play for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
God, they have the worst luck with goalies. Last year they went third string as well. That was just after Jari had such a great season. Anyway, that's
yeah, no, it's true. Like they do have the worst luck with goalies, but yeah, like that's what happens. And I see a bunch of people fired up over the whiteboard there. So yeah, that was pretty cool. We'll get that locked in, loaded, come playoff time. But yeah, I mean, he didn't play every one of those games. He didn't. He dealt with injuries there as well. He ended up in a situation where someone else had to go in for him. And I think even in that, like, he goes on to win the Stanley Cup. Yes, he has the success. He has the pedigree of being a guy who got it done in big moments, but he ultimately didn't play through all of it. So I think when you come into a spot here where you look at him and you go, maybe we can't trust him. He did deal with the injuries again here this year. I think Samsonov leaning on as being the one guy to go in and take over the job to start is probably the right decision, the right way to go about this. The other thing that I look at here, it's going to be another callback, and no, you can't run the same story back twice, but Joe, guess what happened in the first year? Fleury got injured, Murray stepped up, he was the guy to go in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that one thing that he can do down the stretch here is prove that he's a guy that can be relied upon to flip over and be the guy to help out. If Samsonov gets injured, sick, doesn't play well, whatever it is, he could be the guy to step in and be that piece that you look at as, hey, we can trust him. And I think that that's
we
important.
had Jack and Shelgren last year. And hindsight being what it is, we see that pairing was what it was, right? Shelgren is a very talented goalie. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the next couple of years. But I think this pairing of Sammy and Matt has a lot of confidence behind it, and very much so. I think that they have proven that. Even more so than Jack and Children did last year. So I feel way more confident. And Joey Wall, too. I mean, he is excellent, and he is proving to be a great backup as well. So that is getting to be a very strong look. I'm hoping we can keep Sammy for next year, but that's something to worry about later. But that is one of the reasons why I feel a lot better about the playoffs going in now, is that I don't get nervous whenever there is a breakaway or there is a 2-on-1 or anything else if either of those guys are in net. If they get scored on, okay, but we've seen them shut down stuff over and over and over, whereas when it was happening to Jack, we'd get really nervous. At least I did. So yeah, it's very solid. Anyway.
Yeah, one thing I think that we've seen out of both of them is their ability to continue to battle. They don't really feel like they kind of collapse in the net, and I think that's a positive for it. But yeah, and I even saw a comment here, try to find that quickly, but saying like we're going to need both of them to go,
we really are,
to be able to go far in the playoffs, and I would agree. Like, you are going to need both of them here. I don't look at this as like Samsonov's going to play every game in the playoffs. I'm not expecting that. Let's say that. Like, I hope for that, because if he can be the guy and he can take over and he can dominate, I'm going to be the happiest guy in the world. But I'm not expecting that. That's the reality. I don't. I think that we
Hmm.
could end up in a spot where Murray has to go in at some point, and hey, can you step up? And right now, I think he's in a position to try to prove, yes, he can. So I'm in that. I think he played really well. I'm not trying to take away from anything he did here tonight. He played an
No,
incredible game.
he
A
did.
9.43 save percentage. He makes 33 saves. He made some big saves. He made some timely saves. Like, he had himself a good night. I was
That's the
impressed with
gig
it.
too.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the gig, right? And that's why I think both of them are pros. They
Yeah.
they were. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't. It felt good the entire time. Very comfortable. It's like riding in a Cadillac. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, oh, this is good. But that's the gig. That's what you need to expect out of goaltending. It shouldn't be a pulling out the back of your hair every single time they face a shot. And I don't think we're getting that from either of them. So
Omer Austin saying, watching the Leafs is like going to Jamba Juice. Tonight it was mocha peanut butter almond smoothie. Islanders game was celery and tuna oil shake.
about the same results as both of those would get you. So yeah, I agree.
Yes. And I appreciate anyone in the chat right now with kind words saying they enjoy the show. In terms of me applying for the assistant coaching job, I think that that's a little bit out of reach. Don't know if I'm
It's
going to get to
ambitious.
that point. A little
Hey man,
ambitious.
hey man, shoot your shot, right?
Yeah.
You never know.
I was
They're
asked
like,
by one of my
show me
buddies'
on this
dads if I would
whiteboard.
coach, and I was like, yeah, like I would be interested in coaching. And then I realized, like, if I do that, I'm not gonna be able to do the show. And I was like, no, like I'm not, I can't, I'm not doing that. Thank you though, appreciate
Zach,
the offer.
they bring you in for the third interview. They say, sit down at this computer and do the do draw up a play for us on this obscure website that we just found. And you're like, I know how to do
I
this.
used this website. Remember that time it was me and Joe on the live stream, and I was ripping up plays on there? Yeah, I know how to use that. Um, um,
Hire this kid. He's awesome.
I see Dan Freeman here asking in the chat, who is the number 26 behind me? The jerseys behind me, number 26 would be Alan Stanley, signed by Alan Stanley. And the other one, number 22, is Rick Vive, signed by Rick Vive there. So that is who they are.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something that I made because I'm a woodworker, and I'm going to start my video here so you can see.
Okay.
It's my own little out of walnut. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Can you send me a photo of that, Joe? Or
Yeah, I totally can.
All right, and I'll
I
put this up. That is unreal. Joe's showing me right now. You made this yourself?
I did, and I hand burned it in. But that's my little tribute there. Let me I'll take a picture right now and I'll send it to you.
Okay, perfect.
I'll
Thank
put it
you. I'll
in
show
Discord.
it because I want to put it on the screen so everyone else can see what I was just looking at, because that is incredible. That is unbelievable work there that you have. And if you made that yourself, that is very impressive. I've seen people do the what do you call it, Joe? Like you burn the wood, but like,
It's called pyrography, I think.
okay.
So I just took a soldering iron and just did it dot by dot by dot. So it took me a while.
Yeah, what a process. All right, Joe, send a photo when you get an opportunity. I'll put it up on the screen for everyone else to see. But top-notch comment here in the chat, Dukes07 saying, I will get a tattoo of Justin Hall and Zach embracing if they win the cup. Dukes. I appreciate
fantastic.
it.
Best buds for life.
Please don't do that to yourself. Please don't do that to yourself. No, just please don't. I really appreciate it, but please don't do that. I really don't want you to have to do that.
I put a pick up in the Discord for you in our DM there. So
okay. Oh yeah, there you go.
Embracing entire pizza, that is A+ right there. That's awesome.
All right, I'm putting this on the screen so everyone can see. This is the point. Whoa, Jesus!
Oh, zoomed in, baby.
This is the point of the show where we just kind of go off the rails. So we've been talking about this for a while, answer questions. I think we covered most of the game. There you go. There's closer. Right there you go. This is what Joe showed me. He's got on the wall in his house. He made this himself. Joe, just quickly explain the process that you went through to go through to make this.
So I made the panel. So that's three pieces of like air dried walnut there, and then I got a projector and got the Maple Leafs logo and projected it on there, and I traced it using a type of pencil, and then I went with a soldering iron and just started doing dot by dot by dot on it, just burning it in, and then I sanded it down and I burned it in again, so it's recessed into the wood. So, and then I covered it with a clear coat lacquer, and I hung it up. So there you go.
See, how incredible is this chat? Like, look at how unreal this is. This is the people that we've got in the Leafs Digest chat. That is unreal, Joe. I love this. I think this is awesome. I think this
I
is
did
so
a
cool.
bunch of that. I did a bunch of that when Jack was actually doing really well in November of 21. So I felt really optimistic at that point.
And then Joe, this is the only one that's remaining. All the rest he smashed over his knee.
I burned them all. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. He was doing
Done.
them while everything we were losing, and then just said, "Forget it,"
I
lit it
pulled
up.
a, I think you should leave. I was like, I'm done. Pull the plug.
And there you go. There you go. No, this is really impressive. I love it. Oh my God. Duke's in the chat, Joe. I don't know if you're ready for this one. I hope you can pick up on this. I don't know if you saw this. He says, I just have one question for Joe. Where did he come from? Where did he go?
That was Cotton Eye Joe. That's a buddy of mine. He owes me money.
Oh God. There you go. Duke's, that was good. Also, guys, I also just want to remind people, because I did see a request here from Omer. He says he wants a Eddie Shack, Eddie Shack emoji in the chat. I will get that, but it seems like on YouTube, the more as you get the channel members and you add channel members, you're allowed to add more emojis. I already, thanks to you guys purchasing the channel membership or joining as channel members, which I do really appreciate. We just unlocked the ability to do 2 more, so I will add those. But you want to send requests for what the emojis are, send them to me in the Leafs Digest Discord. I'll send the link again. If anybody's ever having trouble doing these, I'm just going to say this right now. I'll send as many links as I possibly can for people to have any type of contact with me, but you can go to the Leafs Digest Discord. One place that I try to be
7-2 Minnesota. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. It's all good. I just saw that too. It's a little disappointing. um, you can send to me on Twitter. I just sent my Twitter account on there. You can message me on there. Or if people want, you can also message on the Leafs Digest Instagram. You can also message me personally on Instagram if that's something you want to do as well. But if you ever have any problems getting in the Discord, anything like that, you want requests, anything, send me messages and I'll see what I can do. But yeah, Robert Smith saying Dougie Gilmore, Mark the Tech Guy, Ty Domi. So we'll look at these and I'll add as many as I can. But
Can we just have one of Fanuff looking confused? Because I'm sure there's plenty of pictures of that out there. But that'd
I
be great.
see one that I think I have to do.
8-2 Golden Gophers? Are they?
Oh my God.
Stop! You're killing them.
I
Stop! He's already dead.
I see one in the chat I think I have to do, guys. Hall Pylon. The Hall Pylon image I might have to do and put there for you guys because I know that will be a widely used image in this chat.
I'm
Okay.
already excited.
Stephen Beer saying, Zach and Joe, are you guys going to go to a playoff game this year? Joe, are you going to try to get to any playoff games?
I can't right now, unfortunately. New gig, and so I'll be in travel mode for my new job during the first round anyway. So getting up to Toronto would be a little bit difficult. But
Fair
next
enough.
year,
What
I
about
think
down to
if we-
Tampa?
Tampa might not be out of the question, actually. That's
It
a
would
good
be
thought.
cheaper to go there probably as well.
It definitely would. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe.
I do not have any plans to go to any Leafs playoff games this year. I think that might be out of the question for myself in terms of cost. Last year, we were lucky enough our company went to a game. I don't imagine that we'll be in that position this year, as I would presume tickets will continue to climb in price. If you want to see me out at a game, you can probably see me down at Blue Jays games this year. I will be there. Joe, I don't know if you heard this. We're way off base here of what went on with the game, but we're way all over the place. I don't know if you heard. So the Rogers Center in Toronto, where the Jays play, they went through a bunch of renovations this summer. So they've added all these bars and this like I don't know what they call it. It's like a city kind of vibe where it's like these indoor patios, and essentially
I've seen that. Yeah. Yeah. You get
yeah.
paid like a ton of money to live there too, right? Or something, or
No. So they have hotel rooms there. There's a
oh,
hotel attached
hotels.
that looks
Okay.
out over it. Yeah. But so what they did add is you can pay $20. You get into the Rogers Center. You don't even have to. You don't get a seat, so you don't sit in the seats. But you can be in the stadium, and there's different spots in the stadium that you can obviously watch the game from without having to sit, but you can go down and just go into all those different areas. That'll be something I will be doing with my buddies this summer. I'll tell you guys that. So if you guys are out looking for me out in Toronto, that is probably somewhere I will be this summer. And Stephen Beer asking, Zach, how about Maple Leaf Square? I will tell you no. That is a really cool thing. I think it's cool for people to go to, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm not going to be physically in the arena watching the game, I will be at home watching so that I can do the streams, because I think the streams are much more important to me to do than just to be there, because it will take me 45 minutes to an hour to get home from there and then be able to do the stream. You guys will all be sleeping at that point. So I'd rather do the streams. That is much more important. All right. I want to talk to you about this, and then we'll get into all the other things that we have, the play of the game, the grades of the game. Alex Kerfoot scores tonight. We talked about him coming potentially off the schneid after he scored the shootout winner against the Ottawa Senators. Now he scores his first regulation goal. Where are we at with Alex Kerfoot? Do you think maybe he's back?
What line was he on tonight? Was he on the second line?
Well, he bounced around, right, because they went 11-7 again. But he was mostly on the third, I would say, kind of bounced around.
Well, let me say this.
With everyone.
This is one of the guys that I'm thrilled to bits that he scored. I am absolutely thrilled that he scored. I think that's great. Even I said in the super chat, hey, undefeated when Kerfy scores, is a good luck charm. I think that any type of production we can see from the third and fourth line is a positive outcome, and we're seeing that in spades from this third and fourth line since we got our acquisitions from St. Louis there. So if he can score more going into the playoffs and finds his game, let's effing go, right? Mm-hmm. Because that is exactly so. I won't go as far as say he's back, but it is a step in the right direction. I think that's a big monkey off his back. You could see with the way he was cheering and smiling and jumping, he was very happy with that goal. And it was right off the faceoff too. Right when he needed it, that was fantastic. So, I hope he seems to be a guy who really needs confidence, really needs affirmation, and I think he's getting it in these last 3 games. So, Keith put him on the first friggin' line. I don't know what the hell that was, but he had opportunity there, right? So but then he goes back to being a utility player on the third line and jumps around just like he moved him all around. He ended up scoring. Great. That is exactly what Kerfoot should be doing, in my estimation. And he's fast and he steals pucks. I love the guy. I love him more at 800 to 1 mil per, but 800,000 to 1 mil per. He's not whatever. But, he's a guy I'm definitely rooting for because he's on our team, and that's all we can do, guys, is cheer our team on. So I like it.
Yeah, I will give comments on that. I just see an update here. So it's 8-2 currently in this game.
Dear God.
But for those concerned about Nyes not having any points, neither does his line mates Jimmy Snugger or Logan Cooley. It looks like they don't have any points here either. I don't know if this is the most up-to-date box score. It looks like it's not showing the last 2 goals, but at least on the first 6, his line just has no goals, no points in this one. So not overly surprising. It seems like maybe Canisius has found a way to close them out. But look, in terms of Kerfoot with him, I don't think he should be in the top 6. That's not where he should be at.
No,
That is
no.
out of his comfort zone. That is out of his range. But look, if he can find ways to score and get some confidence back, I think that's the most important thing here, is because he was playing without it. And one thing I even wrote down, it was in the second period. Yeah, second period, there was a play where he had a 2-on-1 opportunity, and he shot the puck, and it was actually a threat to score. It wasn't just a puck on net, and he didn't try to force the pass over across to whoever it was that was going in with him on the 2-on-1. A lot of times you've seen him in situations where he forces that, or he looks to make that play, doesn't get the shot, doesn't get the pass, kind of fumbles it. Maybe he turns around.
He's a little late. Yeah, he's a little late
Right.
to it if they pass to him or something. Yeah.
So then you're in a spot on a 2-on-1 with him where you're basically just eliminating any type of opportunity, any chance that you have. He went down on the play, and this is even a period before he scored. He shot, and it had an opportunity. It had the shot, like it had some type of opportunity. And I looked at him, and I was like, okay, he's got some confidence back, and we saw him skating out pretty well out there. He wasn't turning over pucks at the normal rate. Like, he was doing things where he felt more involved in the game, and I was pretty happy seeing that out of him. And then to see him actually score to end off the game, it was like, all right. One thing we know is that Keith loves Hall and Keith loves Kerfoot. They're going to play, right, Joe? Like, they're going to play. And as much as we may not want them to, they are. So the best possible case that we can get out of these guys as we head towards the playoffs is to get the most confidence out of them that we can, or into them that we can. Make them confident, make them ready and wanting to go out there and wanting to touch the puck, because they built up that confidence. And then you see Kerfoot making a play like that where he's willing to shoot. Then you see him scoring the goal and finishing it off. It's like, thank God, because now he might be in a position where you look out there and you go, all right, he scored. He's willing to do it. Maybe he can continue to bury going forward and just chip in now and then. So for me, seeing Kerfoot do that, it is a boost of confidence to myself seeing him, because I think that we're going to see him play with more confidence.
Now he's more capable. Yeah, he's more capable now. And like I said, I think you and I are in complete agreement. I think he just needs that affirmation for himself. Not from other people, but from his play. And when his play stands up for him or shows that he is worth it, you'll start to see him play with a little bit more confidence. And I think that's good for the third line, especially. Yeah. I've seen some guys ask a question, and they're asking if Nyes comes in, who do you think the odd man out is going to be? My opinion is that he's not coming this year. That's my opinion. I think he's going to be exhausted. I think he's not going to make the jump. Even though we saved all that money for him, I think he holds off till next year. That's my opinion. It's a lot of pressure to go from NCAA to NHL playoffs within a span of a few games. I don't know if that would be wise for him to make that leap. But I've been wrong before, and he could surprise me. So let's just say he does come, okay? My hot take aside. Let's say he comes up and they put him on the third line. My thought is that they might sit Kampf for a game or two to see what he can do for him. A lot of people are saying Zach Aston-Reese. I think that Keith likes Azar too much to do that. I think in that situation, either Kerfoot or Kampf sits for a game or two to see what the kid can do on the third line. But that's just my thought. What do you think?
I'm going to have to disagree with you here. I think he's coming, and I think that unfortunately the guy is Zach Aston-Reese, because now is the time that people are most critical of him, and he's been playing some of his best hockey. So it's one of those ones where I think like I think Aston-Reese has kind of earned himself a spot in the lineup, but I think he's going to be the guy to go out. I also look at Kampf. He's a late game situation kind of guy. He's a penalty killer. He's a very defensively responsible player. I think that Kampf stays in. He's also a centerman. I think it would be Zach Reese that gets pushed out because I can't see Lafferty being the guy to go. He's got too much speed, and he essentially brings similar things to Zach Reese, just with more speed. They go out and they acquire him at the deadline. I can't see him being pushed out. Achari's obviously staying, and we'll get to him. I don't know if you have like a limit of how much time you have here tonight, Joe, but
No,
we
we're
can get
good.
to
We're good,
Achari.
boss. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. But I don't know. I just think it's Zach Reese who's the guy who gets pushed out. You're obviously going to have O'Reilly back. That puts you back to the 12. You add Nyes. They save that space for him. I've seen Matthews court. Apparently, the Leafs had Matthews courting him, trying to get him to come. We saw him talking in the media the other day about Nyes, saying like they're excited for him to come or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he comes. I think he plays. I think he jumps into this lineup.
He wears a necklace. He wears a necklace like like Marner and Matthews does. So I mean, he's part of the chain gang. So
yes, he is part of the chain gang. Yes, but I don't know. I
know it's a bit of a hot take. Okay,
yeah,
it's just a gut feeling I have, but
well, look, like Joe, you may not be wrong
why.
in the long term. You may not be wrong in terms of like, will he stay in the playoffs? Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't transition, and maybe it doesn't stay a long time, like where he can sustain it, and actually he's a guy that they need to play in the playoffs. Or maybe you get into a series or a game where it's not the best situation for him. But I do think I think game one, Matthew Nyes is in the lineup for the Maple Leafs in the playoffs this year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean there is room there, and if they got home ice, which it seems like they're heading towards that direction where they are going to secure home ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's a violation or anything else. I'm pretty sure Austin and him have had conversations and are having conversations. It seems like they have that type of relationship, but who knows at this point. But I think if Austin Matthews is asking you to come play, not only does it bode well for Nyes, but I think it bodes well for Austin staying as well with some of the talent that's coming in. So I think that's good.
So Rob sent a lineup here that I'm looking at. I'll get your thoughts on it. I'll give mine as well. But we'll start with his projected playoff lineup, okay? First line.
Okay.
Bunting, Matthews, Marner. Yay or nay?
Bunting, Matthews, Marner. This is game one?
Let's say game one, yeah.
Nay.
Immediate nay. Where are you going with this one? What's wrong with this one?
I want to see more out of Bunting before he gets bumped up to the first line again.
Okay.
I liked him scoring. I just want to see a little bit more control of his temper. I want that not directed at the refs. I want it directed at the other team, getting under their skin, not under the ref's skin. Okay. So, so I guess that's my nay. Sorry, I know that was a little emphatic, but that's just what I'm thinking right now.
So the one thing that I've thought about, it's dependent on how well he can play, but I think Järnkrok might get a spot alongside Matthews. He seems to be a little more offensively inclined than Bunting is, and they're playing very well together. I would say that Matthews and Järnkrok are playing well together right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if that stays, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Järnkrok's doing great. I think Järnkrok's doing great right now.
Yeah. So I would say maybe Järnkrok gets that spot over Bunting. The other thing to remember here is Järnkrok plays significantly better in the top six than he does in the bottom six. Now, where I go with this, which might be insane, and I understand that, and this is a little bit more of a hot take projection lineup, so please understand that for everyone as I go through this, but I'm looking at Matthews, Marner, Järnkrok, okay? If Nyes comes up here and he translates, and he plays well in the NHL and he fits, hear me out, Nyes, Matthews, Järnkrok.
Oh.
And now, this is obviously very dependent on Nyes being able to play, but this keeps Järnkrok in the top, and then it gives Nyes the opportunity to continue to play alongside Matthews. That still ends up being a big, fast, strong line who can score and win battles. And
so, what do you think? Do you think in JT Roar Marner for a second?
Bunting, Tavares, Marner,
Oh.
Lafferty, or Kerfoot, whoever's going. I think Kerfoot probably gets the top there because I think Keefe likes him more.
Hmm.
Kerfoot, Arwar, Nylander,
Okay. Yeah.
Lafferty, Kampf, Achari.
Jesus.
Look, tell me how difficult that is to match up against 1 through 3. This
Scary.
is obviously very dependent on Nyes being able to play NHL hockey, and I'm well aware that that is a hot take. And if he can't, I scrap that and I go very similar to what the projected was there, but I go Yarncroke, Matthews, Marner, then Nyes kind of shifts up and down the left side depending on how he plays, but then you kind of go JT and you go again with JT and Nylander, then you figure out, okay, it's either Nyes or it's Kerfoot in this spot, excuse me, it's Nyes or Bunting in this spot. Then you go down to the third line, then you're probably looking at ROR, Kerfoot or Nyes, whoever the other one is, then whatever it is. But you
Well,
could end up in a spot if that first one works out. It is insanely hard to match up against.
I think it's one of those things where it's just crazy enough where it might work. I agree it's a hot take, but at the same time, what happens if it does work out?
Right.
And if it doesn't work out, he does the blender thing again. He bumps him down to the third and is like, all right, kid, you're down to the third, and you bump Willie back up and you shuffle it all around again.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are very capable of playing together, though, which is why I think the thought of those three lines excite me. You can do whatever the hell you want with with the fourth one,
Yeah.
because it's a shutdown line, and any goal is a gift from the hockey gods. But yeah, I mean those three lines sound scary fun,
Right, and I look
like
at the way that I look at them is that if you go
like
into that
exhibition
position,
game fun. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
it's
yes.
it's so crazy. So anyway,
Well, here's the thing that I look at with this, Joe, when I suggest something like that. And again, and to people out there, like, this is a big assumption that Nyes can come here and play. I'm not saying that he can. I'm saying that this is the position where if he can make this jump, he is a big boy. He is a big body. And, like, he is playing a physical brand of hockey in the NCAA right now. He was the Big Ten Player of the Year. Like, he does all these things. I don't think it's going to be a crazy jump. It is a jump. Let's not pretend it's not, but I don't think it's that insane jump. So, okay, say he can jump into there and he can play. Then you put him in that spot. He's the same size as Matthews. They're big boys. Like Matthews, the way he's playing right now, he's so offensively and physically dominant. He leads forwards in the NHL and blocks shots. Looking over at Yarncroke, they like playing together. Yarncroke set a career high in single season goals this year for goals that he's scored. And this is a guy we were looking at going, he hasn't really gotten to a point where he's able to produce at a high level. Well, he set a career high for goals in a single season. Like, he's doing that. He loves playing with Matthews. Matthews loves playing with him. Line 1 can score. Line 2 can score. Line 3 can score. You get down to line 3, you're looking at a little bit of a heavier beat you down line with maybe a guy like ROR. And I don't know if you go with Lafferty there, but then you have Nylander, who can be the creator, can be the producer alongside Ryan O'Reilly. Like, that's a second line. And then now you go down to the fourth line, as you mentioned. You roll out Achari and Kampf. I don't care who the other winger is. They are going to wear you the hell down. They're going to get pucks in your corner. They're going to cycle like crazy. They're going to hit you, and they are not going to allow goals against, which is perfect because they can essentially be an eraser line defensively, but then what they do offensively, they cycle the puck, and what we saw the other night where Matthews had the pass across to Marner, where Marner scores the one-timer goal against the Islanders, that resulted directly from the fourth line cycling in the zone, holding the Islanders in there. You get a couple guys to change, Matthews and Marner come out, bang, the Leafs score. And if you send out any line of those three that we talked about, you're going to have an opportunity to capitalize as soon as they come back out there after the fourth line. So that's kind of where I look at. Now,
I know Tampa's defense will hate it for damn sure because they can't keep up with it. So.
Right. So I think that could be an interesting situation. But again, this is assuming that Nyes can just transition.
It's a big assumption, but again, it's like the Leafs have a really great team. Um, and other people have great teams too. I'm not taking that away. But when they start to realize that is when it's going to get really, really interesting. And
Yeah.
and like I said, I think with just the mix up that you said, that seems like so much fun. I just like I don't even care if we lose tonight. I just want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
And if it has any flashes of glory, like that Buffalo game where we had O'Reilly scoring a hat trick, I mean, because it was so different and it was so fast and it was speedy, but it was just great to watch. That's the type of fun I want to see in the playoffs. And that's the type of fun I want to see from a team that I love, right?
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to see it. But you'll probably see it next year. I mean, at the very least, if we can sign all those guys, and I think we can. So, but anyway, yeah, I like the take, Zach. I think it's like you said, it's a big if, but
Yeah.
I mean, what fun is thinking down in the mouth all the time? Have some
Yeah,
fun with it.
let's think outside the box here. Let's have some fun with this. I mean, we're 12 games away from the playoffs. You're basically seeing the regular stuff that we're seeing on a nightly basis for this Leafs team, and no Ryan O'Reilly in the lineup yet, so you can't really get to a comfortable position with things. But hey, let's have some fun with the lineup suggestions. But all right, we have been going for an hour 45 here, Joe. I do have work
Woo!
tomorrow. We got two
I do
things
as
that we got
well.
to get to before we wrap this one up. Let's start with our Austin Matthews play of the game. All right. Play of the game. I will be revamping a bunch of these for the playoffs, just so you guys know. So we'll have some new play of the game, new grade of the game animation, so we can get things a little spicier for playoff time as well. I'll add the member animations for the playoffs as well. We'll continue to add emojis and stuff for you guys, so we'll continue to add things for this channel. But Joe, I'll start with you. Austin Matthews play of the game if you have one.
That second goal by Austin, where he just kind of turned, he was just like a no look shot and it went in and he knew
Yeah.
it was going in. That was just classic, right? It was just so nice to see because we haven't seen very many of those the last couple months. So felt really nice to see that. And it was just like, woo, he's back, baby. And that was it. So it was great.
That's going to be mine as well. I think that you see start with an offensive zone faceoff. He wins that, goes down to the corner immediately, gets the pass, drives around the net, and as he drives around the net, recognizes traffic in front, just turns, rips the shot short side. Like that is starting. That looks like vintage Austin Matthews, where he can just take over a shift, a play, a period, whatever it is. He can just take over, assert his dominance, and it was his second goal of the game. That is incredible to see from Matthews. I'm going to give some honorable mentions here. I'm going to give an honorable mention to Kerfoot because it's not the perfect play, but to score that goal, shoot some confidence back in him, and it did come off a nice play by Tavares. He enters the zone by moving his feet. He drives around the outside, uses his strength and his size, protects the puck, makes a nice backhand pass across cross ice to Kerfoot to be able to tap that one in. Then I will also give another honorable mention to the 5-on-3 goal. You get your first 5-on-3 of the season, and what happens? Nylander has a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful zone entry with the puck. Or gets the puck, moves on the zone entry, makes a great pass across to Tavares. Tavares actually hits the post on the backdoor shot. As he goes by the net, he grabs the rebound. Everyone cycles out around, finds Bunting wide open in the slot, gets the shot off there. So that will be another honorable mention for me. And also another honorable mention, I'll go with just the near save of the year by Matt Murray there, as close
So
as that
close.
one was. So that's another honorable mention for me. A few things in the chat want to say real quickly. Dan Freeman saying, this is a little left field or galaxy brain, but Dubas has consistently built this roster around diversity. If you look at this roster, you can have a strong left side, right side face off. Yes, I would agree. And the other thing that you kind of benefit from here, you can almost have more than one centerman on basically every line. To an extent, you can have a guy who's taken faceoffs and has played center at some point in their career on basically every line. So I think that you find ways to diversify that way, and you find ways to kind of mix things up and get it there. But yeah, I think that that's a good point. Joe, people are asking in the chat right now, How many goals will Matthews finish with?
43.
43. Okay, I like it. See, I would be more inclined to go with like a 43 or something like that if he scored that third one here tonight, but I don't think you're too far off. I'm going to go with 41. I think he gets 41. He gets 40 comfortably, and then maybe the last two games, they kind of bring down some of his minutes, and I think that he finishes with 41. That's my guess. 41.
Okay.
He has seven
Okay.
more to go over the last 11 games of the year. So 41 for me. I think that's where he gets to. Final thing we'll get to before we wrap this one up, grades of the game. Joe, can you hear the animations when I do them?
I can see them. I can't hear them.
Okay. So I'll figure out maybe next time. We'll see if I can figure out how to get the sound over to you as well. But for the time being, this is what it is. Okay. Grades of the game. Again, I'll let you start here. Where are you at?
Um, Considering how physical Florida is and how much they've beaten us, in past. Now we've run their show this year so far, it seems like. But they kept Florida to the outside. If it wasn't for a fluke, they would have held them to one goal. Um, Constantly shut down penalty kills. I'm giving it a solid A. I'm pretty happy with it.
I'm gonna go with an A as well. I don't think I can quite get up to the A plus, but you do score 6 here tonight. So I mean, anytime you're able to score 5 plus for me, it's like a huge bonus on that. You did get outshot. Again, I'm going to continue to go back to this, though, is that when you're in a situation like this, playing against a team who can compete, they are going to end up likely being in a spot where they're pushing late. They're generating more
Yeah.
opportunities because they're trying to come back. Look at late game situation. Florida pulled their goalie with just over 4 minutes left in the game, and
Mhm.
you end up in a spot where they're just going to bombard you with shots. That's the natural flow of the game. You also get a penalty in there. So now you're down 6-on-4. Like, there's going to be more shots generated throughout. I do look at some of the face-off stuff here. Over the last little while, we've been losing the face-off battle more than usual. 45% tonight to Florida's 54.4. It's not like an overly concerning thing. Penalty kill goes 2 for 3. Think that's fine. You go 1 for 4 in the power play. I'd like to see it get a little bit more, but you do score on the 5-on-3, which is nice. I think that maybe you keep Gus in there a little bit more, give him a little bit more runway, and he can start to figure things out. I think maybe you get a little bit more power play success. This wasn't a perfect game, so I can't get to the A plus, but it was a very good game, and it was an incredible response game more than anything for me. That's where I go to. They bounce back, they figure it out. You look at their giveaways. Think about the game against the Islanders. I talked about it after. 15 giveaways. Joe, do you know how many giveaways they had tonight?
I want to say it was like 6 or 7, right?
3.
3.
Three
Even
listed
better.
giveaways according to the ESPN team stats here. 3 listed giveaways. 5 takeaways for them is listed. I think maybe the stats keeper might have been sleeping a little bit, considering what these stats are. It's fairly low, but yeah, so it says 3 giveaways, 5 takeaways for the Leafs, and I think basically they came out and they took over this game right away. So I'll go with the A. That is where I'm at. And Gordon also
Very restorative game, I think.
yes.
It felt really good.
And another thing Gordon's bringing up here, which I think is important, is he says lots of Florida shots were from the periphery. I think they were as well. So I go with an A. Can't quite get to the A plus, but go with the A. Joe, before I let you go here, is there anything else that you want to say before you leave? Any hot takes, anything like that? What do you got?
Last time my hot take was Austin's getting over 40. It's not looking like that much of a hot take anymore.
Yes.
Because he is heating up. Uh I don't really have a hot take tonight. But it was a really good night, really good win. Great talk with you, Zach, as
Great
always.
talk.
And thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, anytime. I'm more than happy to have you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for the channel membership. That is appreciated. Over the next week or so, I'm working with the guys from Raptors Digest to figure out exactly what we can do in terms of setting up some stuff for the members and do some playoff things. So try to get that. Again, send me your suggestions and we'll add in some more emojis as we get. The more channel members you get, the more that we're allowed to have. So we'll add those in. So we'll get some more for Saturday night. There will be, I think, at least 2 more. I think we unlocked 2 more on here. So I'll add some more of those. But Joe, thank you so much for calling in here tonight. Greatly appreciated. You enjoy the rest of your night. You take care of that arm. Let's pull up this image one last time. What an incredible work Joe did there on this Leafs piece. And maybe, just maybe, this year you can get a Stanley Cup Champions one made up and put that up on your wall. So hopefully,
nothing would
Joe,
please me more.
This thing is beautiful. I appreciate you taking the time here tonight. Thanks for calling in on the Queensway Automotive Hotline, the first ever caller on the Queensway Automotive Hotline. Joe, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care, mon ami. Bye-bye.
All right. There you go. Joe calling in on what was the Queensway Automotive Hotline. If you guys didn't catch that, yes, that was the Queensway Automotive Hotline. Looking to purchase a new or used car, looking to get new car parts, replacement, you need a car guy. You are just looking for someone to do repairs on your car, or you are looking in the future to add a car, make sure to head over to the Queensway Automotive Group. The link is pinned to the top of the chat there. You can check that out. It is also in the description of this video, so make sure to head over to the Queensway Automotive Group, the new sponsor here on the Leafs Digest channel. You'll want to check that out. You'll want to work with them. Got to meet them personally, see what they were all about. They are good guys over there. They will take care of you, and they will deal with you one-on-one. So they're good people to get with, to work with over there, to communicate with. So make sure to check that out. But guys, I think that is about going to do it here tonight on the stream. Went for a long time, 2 hours here on this one. So thanks to everyone who hung in here. Thanks to everyone who liked the stream. Thank you to all of our new channel members here. Read these off here yet again. Your names will be included in the stream going forward. I'm looking at Robert Smith, Joe Hill, Craig Harrison, Mark, Vincent Lee, Maxentius Decimus, and Arnav B. Thank you guys so much for the channel memberships. I really, really appreciate that. I'll see if I can continue to add more cool things for you guys. And as you can see there, you do get the little emojis added in. We'll add some more for the next stream. And on top of that, everyone with the channel membership has the little green green labels beside their names. But thank you so much to everyone who tuned in here tonight. This has been the live stream for Game 71 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season promo code haul. Game 71 of Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Florida Panthers 6-2 here tonight, moving to 43-19-9 on the season. A great bounce back game, a great bounce back spot. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you haven't hit subscribe, make sure to do so. If you haven't hit like, make sure to do so before you finish this one off. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you all Saturday night after the game against the Carolina Hurricanes. Should be a fun one. I'm excited for it. Let's keep this momentum rolling. And most importantly, Leafs fans, as always, keep believing. Thank you so much for watching.